Welcome back. You're watching Cheche with today's guest, presidential spokesman Manoah Esipisu. And David, I'll come to you because I cut you off just before the break on the issue of salaries for state officers who've had to step aside or been relieved of their duties.
Manoah has promised to check, and tweet the status of Olelenku's alleged continuing to be on the payroll, even though he is nowhere in public, and we can't get him to also say whether he's earning or not. But there are many state officers who have since left office, and not just in the current administration, even previous ones, who continue to enjoy state privileges. We talk about few policemen, but there are many policemen who are attached to people who left office long ago, all over the place, and others are enjoying those state facilities.
I think that I am not aware of people outside of those mandated by the law to be protected and to receive salaries. So the former presidents, for instance, those are provided for and stuff like that. But certainly we can I can check who else is and what their status is, so that when we give a picture, we are talking about facts.
I think that is homework, because there are many and a mop-up exercise needs to be done to recover state, facilities or resources back to serving this.
Certainly I can check that for you, because it's useful for us, it's useful for the public.
For the public. But now, how do you respond to this? That unlucky our junior staff and those who steal chickens in Kenya, they languish in jail while real thieves and untouchables go free.
I think that comes from a historical view that if you are a junior officer, you are more likely to be punished for a crime than if you are a senior officer. I think this administration has worked to show that crime is crime, whatever it is, at whatever level it is, which is why there is the ESCC's list of 286 people. It's not about junior officers, it's about senior officers.
What about the presidency? Because the president himself said that State House was a den of corruption.
Harambe House. I think he said
Harambe House, sorry, the office.
And clearly there have been dozens of people moved, dozens of people that have been investigated and stuff like that. The thing about the presidency is that don't make big announcements over what is really procedural work. You are doing work that you are mandated to do. You should do it, and don't try to gain accolades for it. You just get your job done.
Okay.
The question about the presidential tours. There has been a raised concern about the number of tours he's making. He has made since he became president.
National or foreign?
Foreign.
Yeah.
And the number of people it takes. Some of them are joyriders, according to some people, at least opposition. And then there's a trip that was supposed to make to America, which aborted, and we have not known what happened.
Let's start with the trip he was supposed to make. Is that the Los Angeles trip to Milken, the Milken Institute?
Already there was a group there before him, and then
well, the president was due to make the visit, and there are other considerations at the last hour he needed to deal with back home, so he did not go. We were very well represented there. CS Matiangi was there, CS Amina Mohammed was there, and we had a big business delegation from Kenya. This was a business.
Does it happen that the president takes a plane and then returns midway?
Hardly, but I think in terms of that was explained. That when the aircraft came back after issues with clearance over the Yemen airspace, it was something that the countries involved have dealt with, and that I think that's been cleared. I think in terms of just the foreign trips, what's important for the president, that one, the commercial interests of this country are taken care of, because what we do is a lot of economic diplomacy these days. So you don't go to countries to make noise about things, you go to countries to boost your trade relations, to boost your boost your exports and things like that. And in most countries, the president has gone, he goes with a big business delegation that is paying for itself. So the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KEPSA, and people like that, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they come along so that they meet their counterparts on the other side. This is about boosting investment, and I think we would like to see a little more of that happen.
Okay.
But if you look at Tanzania, the new president of Tanzania says you don't make foreign trips. We have embassies there; they can deal with that.
You shouldn't make routine trips that embassies can deal with. So if there is a local meeting of COMESA in Lusaka, the ministers from here shouldn't go to Lusaka for that meeting, because we have an ambassador that is accredited to COMESA. That message is a good one. And we try to do that as much as possible. But the things the president must do, he must show leadership. He must speak to his compatriots. Sometimes business wants to be engaged at a level of president for them to be reassured. They're making the right decisions and that they have the highest political support. And I think that will continue to be so.
Security, Manoah. This from Iman Omari, who I think we all know. Uduak, I've covered presidents. It chilled me in Paris that 3 bombs got within meters of the president there. Never in my time. Manoah, tell Kenyans if Paris is an awakening for us.
I think all of us have been reflecting on what happened in Paris. All of us have been reflecting on how terrorism is evolving, and all of us have been reflecting on our counter-terrorism procedures and options. I think people have, especially in this country, for instance, I think people have had another relook at how and why these things happen, so that it's not just a question of saying, look, maybe you should have done this and that. Even in the most sophisticated countries, you can get hit. And what we are saying is we have to continue to modify, to refine our tools so that the security of our people is guaranteed. And I think the approach the administration has taken under the new IG and the new CS and Kaiseri is to do this work quietly, to get security matters out of the public light so that you can get the job done. Okay,
there's a feeling that CS and Kaiseri is doing much better as Interior Cabinet Secretary. In fact, yesterday an attempted attack was thwarted. But when it comes to civil liberties, when it comes to democratic spirit, and this is the question that Mutegi asked earlier, which I'm not sure you quite answered, the link when he picks up the phone and orders the arrest of a journalist. Right? What's going on there?
I think the CS has done quite a lot to instill confidence in that area of national security, and I think we really need to support him for that. But I also think that there is sometimes the misconception that maybe I think it's a perception really issue that he's probably going well beyond his mandate, and I know that he was knocked quite a bit about the arrest of the journalist last week. But I think the minister is really just concerned about national security, and if he sees a threat from whatever angle he sees the threat, I think he's inclined to act, and I am willing to say he needs.
What's the link between expenditure and national security? Asking questions about budget.
It depends on whether then he has to. At what fora is he having to explain whatever it is he's done and for what? Because one of the worst things is, excuse me, for your enemies to know what you're doing and how you're doing it. Where are you getting your ammunition? Where are you getting your weapons? How you are planning? All those things are of interest to this country. We don't want to be in a position where our defenses are cracked because there are many nosy people behind there.
But defense procurement is an area of corruption. since Kenya became independent. We have known people who supply one pair of shoes that the militant doesn't want.
And you yourself said that a lot of the corruption in this country goes back to procurement.
Particular defense procurement.
And that needs to be dealt with in the manner that we are dealing with it, with a bipartisan, multi-sectoral approach to combating that. Obviously, the civil liberties, we have to work hard to ensure that these are protected, obviously.
So how would you respond to this from Wikali? Government is sponsoring a crooked NGO council, an unqualified NGO board to weaken civil society, which was doing the budget tracking.
I think that's absolute garbage. The NGO council hasn't asked anything that should not be asked by law. If you're getting, you need to account for your finances in the NGO sector. How can you ask other people to be accountable when you aren't? And I think people need to be registered. If the law says they should be registered, they shouldn't hide behind this whole thing about freedom to cheat the constitution. They shouldn't.
But some of the NGOs that found themselves deregistered went to court, and the orders against them, were overturned. So even, the government was found to have acted improperly.
I think that if a court interprets something differently, then we always say we will respect what the courts are saying. But the major point is that there are a lot of these NGOs that were deregistered that had not filed their returns and stuff like that. Now what the courts have then said is, look, let them go file their returns, give them more time. But it comes back to the same questions you are raising earlier. If you're given time, shouldn't you work within that time, or should you be looking for? Why are you looking for more time when you should have done it in the period you should? That's really the issue here. NGOs are not being emasculated by anyone. They just need to follow the law. All of us are subject to the law.
But there was an attempt to limit the amount of money they can get from outside to 15%.
Yes, there was something in the bills by private motion. MPs are at liberty to present whatever bills they do, and it's a parliamentary process. That's what freedom is about.
Okay, so we're winding up now, and the context for this conversation was the fact that the Pope is visiting, but he's coming to Kenya during turbulent times. I think, David, you used that word. Tony in Kajiado is frustrated and says that we're actually in dire straits. And so the question was, given, in your words, Manoah, that the Pope is this moral voice, and you're looking for a message of unity, of reconciliation, of healing, from the panelists, what message do you think the Pope should bring?
Well, actually, and perhaps I would like to hear Manoah speak to that, the appearance of political tensions, persistent turbulence because of all these corruption and this and that, economic issues, and teachers and everybody seeming to have a grievance, which is boiling up into a very tempestuous ride, if you may say, for the government. What effort is being put in from number one, to stabilize the country so that really it looks like the environment is good for visitors, and also going forward to 2017, because this is only likely to ratchet up the tensions, so that people feel comfortable, you can invest and you get money and there'll be no chaos and there'll be no, these kinds of things. I guess that's what the Pope will be coming to, assist, to tell people to look to each other and live like neighbors and live well, and consult and talk, which again message this government has been accused of not heeding much, the whole idea of dialogue and sitting and agreeing. I would like to hear Manoah address that from the perspective of the spokesperson. Okay, we'll allow him to do that as he winds up. Mutegi.
I think it's the same message, I think former President Kibaki is Catholic. I think he knew what the Pope will say. He's told the government, please talk to, listen to people. And Manoah said they went to listen. I think the government and the opposition need to respect one another. They know that, say for instance, Clinton and Obama, they were rivals when they were fighting for seat. But they talked and they were incorporated. I am not talking about Katenuso. I'm talking about people listening to one another. Like this, the constitutional referendum, which is proposed by, there are some good things in it. Maybe the government should look at it and say, hey, look, we have an opportunity of mending what is wrong with the constitution.
And as a matter of fact, the referendum came about because...
Yes, because they were not talking.
Yes, they were not talking. And several of our guests on Cheche have talked about the government refusing to listen, even people within the Jubilee coalition. So as you wind up...
But the president said the other day he was willing to talk, but he will not talk to those people who are abusing him. Obviously, it's respected, but can we be seeing some talk, some dialogue, some communication?
Okay, that's quite a bit for you to wind up with, Manoah. Actually, there are really two things. One, that we acknowledge that there may be some issues in terms of cohesion and stuff, in terms of how we approach each other, government and the opposition. And the president has always said he's open to discussion. If you have ideas to bring on the table, please do so. And what the president has said, and he repeated this on his tour of Western and Rift Valley, is look, we don't resolve issues by going to the mountaintop to shout at each other, and that won't happen. So if the opposition thinks that by holding 20 press conferences a week to shout at the president they will make progress, no, they won't. You need to approach each other in a civil way, and I think the president is open to that. He's always been open to that. The second thing is that we need to talk up our country. We need to talk up our economy. We need to talk up business. We are doing fairly well as an economy in East Africa compared to our neighbors, compared to the rest of the continent. So if yes, we had a slight decline in the shilling. The shilling has gained, but if you look at our neighbors, Tanzania's shilling lost by 45% against the dollar. South Africa's rand lost by 29%. These things are happening because of the resurgent U.S. economy, and
not artificial propping.
No, not at all. In terms of the shilling, no artificial propping at all. And
that's not what the former CBK governor Mika Chesram told us when he was here, because he says that we keep intervening instead of allowing market forces to determine the value of the shilling.
The way you manage a currency is to look at options available to you, all options available to you. It's not a question of deciding, well, if the shilling is going to lose, let it lose. You have to decide what value is appropriate for your exporters and what value is appropriate for your importers, because you have to find a balance. That's what we are doing. That's what the Treasury and the Central Bank have done. In terms of interest rates, there was a slight blip, but you see that Treasury bills are back to single-digit points. So in terms of market stability, there you are again. You saw the governor asking commercial banks to retract their orders for interest rates to go up. So things like that are happening. You will see that there is investment happening in this country. What we need to say is, yes, if we have had issues, this is where we have had issues, we need to move back. But when you see guys saying, you know, our economy is collapsing and that type of garbage, talking down our economy does not help our country. We need to talk up our economy. That's the obligation of every one of us.
But the flip side of that would be taking the ostrich in the sand approach.
No, we need to approach whatever issues we are dealing with, put them on the table, discuss them, resolve them. But a blanket story like the economy is collapsing, what do you think the investors in Brazil are thinking, investors in America are thinking? They're thinking, pull out your money before that economy collapses. And when you know exactly that the economy is actually stable, and that this is politicking,
finally,
then that's the problem.
What do you think about those articles written by David Day in the newspapers about the economy? Because this rubbish is completely.
Well, David,
I don't know whether I've read them. Yeah.
David D makes hundreds of mistakes in his articles every day. Look at his exchange rates, for instance, 1,000% 1,000 instead of 100. I can't be any article that has 2 mistakes. I don't believe in it, because it means that the argument is lost by the mere fact that you are allowing too many mistakes in copy. You cannot justify what your case is by using wrong information.
So that's your final word. And for our viewers, David D is not here to defend himself. He'll probably defend himself through his column. But for our viewers who might not know, before his time as presidential spokesman, Manoah was a finance journalist, and hence the passion that came out in that response. And so, Manoah, we thank you for your time here on Cheche with us. We've had Manoah Esipisu, presidential spokesman, as our guest today. Our thanks also to panelists Mutegi Njau and David Makali. Thank you for watching us here on Cheche. We've been live on Citizen TV. My name is Udwa Kamimo. We'll see you next week.